Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. My dear student, greeting to you all. Today, inshallah, we will carry on with our English language lessons. My name is teacher Ines Al-Hadithi. So as you can see on your board, make sure you have the book. This is the second book, book number 4. Today, inshallah, we will carry on with lesson number 2, part 2. Because this was a very important lesson. We had part 1 in the previous lesson, and today, inshallah, we will take part number 2. So let's start. Bismillah. Let's start by revising what we have learned in the previous lesson, my dear student. In the previous lesson, we had the simple present tense. That was a very important grammar rule, okay? And we will have extra exercises to check your understanding. So let's learn. By the end of the lesson, inshallah, we will use the present simple correctly. Use adverbs of frequency like always, usually, never, and also we will use some and any. How to use them, when to use them. Let's start. We will have all these skills. We will read together. So make sure for this section you have your books wide open and so you can read with me. Also, we are going to write and answer some exercises. And for this section, make sure you have your notebook, some pencils right next to you. While I'm speaking and saying the words, make sure you are listening and repeating them with me. This is the cover of your book. As you can see, the name is Travel and Transportation. Travel and Transportation, that's the second unit. We are going to take the second part of lesson number 2. We will start with the simple present tense. What's a simple present tense? As you can see here, my dear student, we will focus on the affirmative sentences. Okay, as you can see to your left, I have the verb like, surrounding by 4 pronouns, which are I, you, we, they. So I like, you like, we like, they like. Okay, for the other flowers, I have likes in the middle with an S. Okay, and it is surrounded by 3 pronouns, which are he, she, and it. He likes, she likes, it likes. Okay, so whenever I have these pronouns, she, he, or it, or perhaps I have the name, not the pronoun, I have the noun, like Ahmed, like Khalid, like Reem, for example, we will have the verb with an S. Let's have some exercises. Choose the correct answer, my dear student. Number 1, he drives his car every day. What do you think? He drive or drives? S or no S? The answer is drives. Very good. Why is that? Because I have the pronoun he. Number 2, we plays tennis after school. What do you think? S or no S? Definitely no S because I have the pronoun we. Number 3, he eats ice cream. S or no S? Definitely S because I have the pronoun he. He eats ice cream. Number 4, they sleeps in their bedroom. The answer is they sleep. Very good, they sleep. Number 5, it walks in the park. Here maybe he's talking about a cat or a dog or perhaps a bicycle, okay? So definitely walks, it walks in the park. Very good. Now, choose the correct answer. So here I have 3 different people doing 3 different occupations. So this is more like a habit or a routine or a fact, right? That's why we will use simple present, okay? So for the first one, a firefighter fires. What do you think? A firefighter puts out or put out? S or no S? What do you think? A firefighter, I have a singular, he puts out fires. Very good, he puts out fires. Second one, a chef, delicious food. Now I have 2 options, both have S. But the first one, A, I have ES. The second one, I just have S. The answer is definitely B. I don't need to have E and S. Third one, a teacher at school. A. S, B, I have ES. Remember, this verb ends in two letters, C and H. As you can see here, I have C and H. So whenever I have a verb that ends in these two letters, I must choose teaches a teacher, teaches at school. Very good, my dear student. Excellent. Let's go to the next slide. Now, sometimes I need to form a question. How to form a question if I have a simple present tense? By using do or does. Okay? So let's start with the first one. If I have a singular like do I play? Do you play? Does he, she, it? So here I chose a different verb, okay? A different auxiliary, does. Why is that? Because I have the pronoun, subject pronoun he, she, and it, okay? Other than that, we will be going or using do. So let's read again. Do I play? Do you play? Does he play? Do we play? Do you play? Do they play? How to form the answer, and remember, this is a yes-no question, so the answer should be yes or no. For the short answer, yes you do, no you don't. I have an affirmative answer and a negative answer. Yes you do, no you don't. Yes he does, no he doesn't. Yes we do, no we don't. Yes they do, no they don't. Okay, so let me give you an exercise about this section. Write the correct answer. Okay, I have two pictures with two different situations. For the first one, he in the bed. So this is an affirmative sentence. The second one, he not sleep on the floor. A negative sentence. So how to form it? Because I have he, for the first one, I will write he sleeps with an S. He sleeps in the bed. But for the second one, because it's negative now, he doesn't sleep on the floor. He doesn't sleep on the floor. Now, let's go to the second one. I have different kids or a group of kids or children, okay? First sentence is an affirmative one. We in the garden play. What do you think? Shall we choose play or plays? The answer is play. Very good, no need for us. While for the second one, we must use the word, what do you think? Does or do? Definitely do. We don't play in the park. We don't play in the park. Very good, my dear student. Also, as I mentioned earlier in this class, we will be talking about adverbs of frequency. They are often used with simple present because it describes the daily routine. How often do you go to work? How often do you eat fish? How often do you exercise? You will answer with adverbs of frequency. What are they? As you can see, from the right hand, from the right corner, as you can see, we'll start with always. That's 100%. I always go to school. I always pray on time. These are the actions or the verbs that we do on a daily basis. It's a habit. Now, as we are moving to the left side, I have usually, which is 90%, generally 80%, often is 70%, sometimes is 50%, occasionally is 30%, seldom is 15%, rarely is 5%, and never is 0%. I never lie to my parents, for example. I never cheat in the test, and so on. Okay? Now, let me give you this exercise. Write the correct answer. In these squares, as you can see, I have all the adverbs of frequency. Okay? Let's read. Never, sometimes, usually, often, always, and rarely. Okay? Based on the black stars, you will choose the correct adverb. Okay? So, for example, I will help you with the first one. The first one, I have full stars, black stars. So, definitely, always. Okay? So, what do you think? What do you think? What could be the second answer? Shall we pick sometimes? Never. Actually, we will go with usually. Very good, usually. Next, what do you think? I have often. Very good. I have often. Next, that's 50%. I have sometimes. Very good. I have sometimes. Very good. Next, I have just one black star. I have rarely. The adverb here is rarely. And for no stars at all, that is 0%, we will choose never. We will choose never. Very good. So let's go ahead and read our answers about adverbs of frequency one more time. Always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, and never. And never. Very good, my dear student. Now, we will talk about some and any, and this is the last section of the grammar, that is at page 24 and 25. Some and any. As you can see here, my dear student, when do we use some and when do we use any? As we were starting, we started with articles, a and an. But sometimes I cannot use either of them, okay? So we will switch to using some and any. How to use them? Now, let's start with some first. With countable nouns, I use them. We could use a and. Also with negative, I use a and. With question, I use a and if I have a singular countable thing. But if I have plural, okay, now I have plural, I cannot use the two articles a or an. So it could be some or any. In case we have an affirmative sentence, we will be using some. Same for uncountable nouns. Again, we will be using some. But if I have a negative sentence, that means I have not in the sentence, we'll be using any for countable and uncountable. And in case we have a question, we will be using any as well in countable and uncountable sentences. Let's read the examples. I would like some sugar, please. I don't want any sugar, thanks. He needs some help. He doesn't need any help. Now I have these signs. That means affirmative or negative. Now, also it depends on countable or uncountable. In case I have singular countable, we'll be focusing or using a or an. But if I have plural countable, we'll be using some or any. If it's affirmative, we'll be using some. If I have a question or negative, we'll be using any. Okay, so let's have some examples. For some, again, I have this sign, which means affirmative sentences. There is, there are, we have got, she has got. On the other side, I have countable and uncountable nouns. So there is some milk. There are some oranges. We have got some onions. There is some sugar, and there is some cheese. All these sentences are affirmative sentences. Okay? So for some, I will be using them with countable and uncountable with a plural thing. While for any, as you can see, I'll be using them with negative. There aren't, there isn't, she hasn't got, I haven't got. Or we'll be using them with questions. Are there? Is there? Have you got? Has he got? Okay? So on the other side, there aren't any apples. There isn't any bread. She hasn't got any water. I haven't got any flour. For the question, are there any carrots? Is there any bread? Have you got any sweet? Has she got or has he got any ice? For questions and negative, we'll be using any. Okay? Let's have some exercises here. Which one do you think we should choose, some or any? Let's start with number 1. There is some, any, milk in the fridge. Now, let's analyze this sentence. Can you see a question mark? No, so it's not a question. Can you see not in the sentence? So it's not negative, it is affirmative. That's why we are using some. So let's read our answers. There is some milk in the fridge. Number 2, we don't need flour. Some, any. What do you think? I don't have a question mark, but I have not here. So it's negative. Because I have not, my dear student, we will be using any. So let's read our answer. We don't need any flour. Very good. Number 3. Can I have water, please? Some, any. Now, because you saw the question mark, you will decide to go for any. But this is not a question, this is a gentle request. It's not a question, it's a request. Can I have some water, please? It's not a direct question, it's just a gentle request. Can I have some water, please? Number 4. Are there some, any eggs in the fridge? Now, this is a question. It's not a request, it's a question. I'm asking about whether we have eggs or not, so we will be using any. Are there any eggs in the fridge? Number 5, there are some, any cats in the garden. It's an affirmative sentence. The answer is some. Very good, my dear student. Excellent. Now, we have this at your books at page 25. Make sure you have your books ready at this page and some pencil if you need to take any notes. We will start with the upper part. I'll be zooming the upper part first. Frequency adverbs followed by the verb be. I am always late for school. He is usually late for school. She is sometimes late for school. You are never late for school. They are sometimes late for school. We are always late for school. So here I have the verb be, am, is, and are. Okay? Make sure you go through this after we're done with the lesson. Now we have this part in the middle. As you can see, I have some and any. As you can see here, I have 3 columns. The first one, I have the word affirmative, negative, and questions. And for the part in the middle, I have countable, that's countable nouns. And for the last part or the last column, I have uncountable nouns. Okay, let's go ahead and read. Affirmative. There are some apples on the table. So here I have the noun apples. Countable, right? Next, there is some milk in the glass. Milk here is uncountable. So it doesn't matter if I have countable or uncountable. What matters if the sentence is affirmative or not. The sentence is affirmative, that's why we are using some. Moving to the next part. Negative. There aren't any carrots in the fridge. Here I have the noun carrots. Countable. But also I have the word I have not. So that's what's make this sentence negative. For the uncountable, there isn't any water in the bottle. Here I have the noun water, which is uncountable, and I have the negative not. So again, whether I have countable or uncountable nouns, we'll be using any if the sentence is negative. Moving to the last section, I have question. Are there any bananas on the table? Here I have a question, and it's not a request, okay? Are there any bananas on the table? Bananas are countable. Is there any juice in the glass? Juice is uncountable. So it doesn't matter if I have countable nouns or uncountable nouns. What matters if it's a question, we will be using any. Okay? Let's move to the last part or the last section at your books at page 25. Complete the conversation with some or any. I have a conversation between Amal and Huda. Amal, what are you cooking? Huda, here, taste my vegetable soup. Amal, it needs salt. Salt here is uncountable, but the sentence is affirmative, so we'll be using some. It needs some salt. Huda, oh, doesn't it have? Now I have not, doesn't. It's negative, so that's why we are using any. Doesn't it have any salt? I will add some now. I think I will add lemon juice. Lemon juice is uncountable, but the sentence is affirmative. I will add some lemon juice. No, I don't. I think it doesn't need, because I have negative, it doesn't need any. It doesn't need any. Very good, my dear student. For this section, I need you to take a very good look at this one. Maybe take a screenshot of your laptops. Try to do this exercise. This will be your homework, and we will be doing this homework at the beginning of the next lesson, inshallah. Also, for this side, I need you to decide which adverbs of frequency we are going to use. Are we going to use always, usually, sometimes, hardly, ever, or never? Depends on the sentence and the situation. Okay? So let's revise what we have learned in this lesson, my dear student. We introduced or we revised simple present tense. Also, we introduced two words, some and any. How to use them, when to use them. I use some with affirmative sentences, countable and uncountable. I use any with negative and question sentences, again countable and uncountable. So that is my lesson, my dear student. Until I see you next time, stay safe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.